for the local economy and all those kind of things.
One final question, Mark. How long have you been living in this house before this notice was triggered? I'm intrigued as to why it should have been.
I can tell you the
triggered.
date we moved in, the 8th of November 2014, the day I got married.
Okay. And
So
it's
it's
taken
been-
till now.
It's been 5 years.
Well,
Just to give some general background, not specific to this case, but Sedgemoor has obviously conditions like this on a lot of properties. So you've got agricultural workers dwellings, you've got holiday accommodation. Sedgemoor has adopted a policy now of checking up on all those conditions. Because what has happened over time, and we've seen it here as well, where you have, say, an agricultural workers dwelling where someone takes it on who isn't an agricultural worker, as you had from the training, if someone does that for 10 years and no one realises, then after the 10 years they can come in and say, right, I want that agricultural workers condition taken off, and I can prove I've been doing it for 10 years, therefore I want it done. So Sedgemoor has introduced a system where in effect they write round periodically to anyone who's got a condition like an agricultural workers or a tourism saying, could you just confirm to us that you are occupying in line with your original condition? If they say no, then obviously there's the follow-up to say, well, how do you remedy that? If they say yes, then in fact it stops the clock and they can't then come back in a couple of years' time and say, oh, for the last 10 years we've been living outside that condition because we've got documentary evidence from them that they're saying they have been abiding by it. So that's why it wasn't a particular targeted anomaly.
At the time I felt personally aggrieved. I subsequently learned exactly that it's nothing personal. I understand the policy of if you clock up 10 years doing something different, you can regularise it, as it were. We didn't intend to be in breach at all. One of the options that possibly was available to us, and one that I think we would have a very strong argument for, is that you can seek to have the agricultural tie lifted entirely. That is one option, but that has two kind of pegs to it. You have to demonstrate that agriculture is no longer viable on the farm, and I think we could kind of fairly quickly see that that's probably the case, nor that there's an immediate demand in the locality, in the parish, for an agricultural workers dwelling. But one of the other things that you have to do in order to demonstrate this is to put it up for sale for, and it's a slightly nebulous thing, a reasonable price for a reasonable time. What reasonable is a matter for debate. The point is that Sedgemoor, and I think with a very difficult letter, closed off that option to us by threatening enforcement action. So that there was no way we could ever fulfil that obligation, even if we tried to. And so that option, which is one of the things that is in the policy, to seek to get it lifted and to make a rational argument for that, and there's obviously different arguments about how that might or might not be applicable. That option was shut down by the council, leaving us with, well, obviously not that option. So what we've tried to do with this variation is not to seek to overturn the agricultural condition, so that remains as it is entirely. So the policy of the council is not, the intent of that condition has not been defeated, it has not been changed. What we've slightly asked to do is to widen it out, but I think with good justification.
any other questions for Mark? Mark, thank you. I'm really pleased you've come along. You've explained it beautifully and very clearly.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, can we open our formal meeting? Do we have apologies?
We have apologies from Warwick, if you can.
And David will round me up and said he will not be able to get back from Barrington Journey, where he's doing some work on contract or something.
Those are our apologies. Are you all happy that we accept them? Can you signify, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. Declarations of pecuniary interest, personal prejudicial interest. Bob on planning.
Yes.
Cynthia?
Planning, the tree.
The tree, 21. Anything else? Bob?
Just a personal interest on the parish hall room hire.
Okay. Thank you.
Chairman, would Councillor Harper declare an interest because he's a neighbour to the second planning application?
What, on the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably, John, as you're so close to it, probably it may be.
What?
As you're so close to the tree.
Oh, right,
The
interesting.
tree.
Maybe it affects me in any way.
How do you think? Why do you think John should?
He's a neighbour.
He's a neighbour.
Well, so it's like,
Got a
it's
peculiar
two
interest.
houses or so away from me. I didn't even know they'd put up an application. I mean, if you want me to declare an
Well,
interest, if you tell me to do so.
It's your decision, John, of course, it has always with interests. You can choose to or not choose to, it's
No, I
entirely
have
up to you.
no interest.
But, you know,
Okay.
I have no
Very
interest.
Okay, John. Thank you. Planning applications then.
so what's going to happen?
0719 0020. We've just heard from Mark. Andrew, would you like to sort of
Right, well, the planning
into that?
team got together and we had discussed the points which have been covered by Mr Gibson about how the farm had evolved from his parents to now today. And we believe that because there is an interest now in the area to make sure that people have got the right to live in these properties, he's not asking for that condition to be removed, he's actually asking for that to be made broader to actually encompass what Mr Gibson is hoping to achieve. We can see by the documentation that they have always sought proper planning permission. We've also seen the presentation from Princess Anne. It recognises that farms do have to diversify and that they have been champions in their own field. It provides an income for the community, it will provide work for local people, and it's a home, it's a family home, and I don't think that anybody should be taken away from their own home because there is a stipulation that is so old.
And it fits with the Sedgemoor planning policy,
Yeah.
D10.
D10. So I'd like to support the
Yeah.
application because I believe that we don't want to lose this business from our area, we don't want to lose this family, and we definitely don't want to lose the revenue, you know, the income and the occupation of local people.
Okay. Has anybody else got any comments there? Brian?
I'm amazed that the first thing they knew about it was a threatening letter.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
appalling attitude.
Yes.
Well, I think it's due to us to give a sensible recognition of a thriving rural business, to enable it to be continued and to support the local economy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what came out in the presentation. So, do you want to propose, or are you happy with those words?
Yeah, I definitely would like to propose that we support the application to change the wording on condition 2 to what has been suggested, and that encapsulates the actual owners and occupiers of this property,
Yeah.
to allow them to continue to live in their own home.
I'd second it.
Have you got that wording? Because
I haven't. I've got something here which is very kindly provided to me, which is it's virtually sums up the same thing you just said, but in a slightly more précis form.
Okay.
A sensible recognition of a successful farm diversification, as well as acknowledging changes in the wider rural community, and that variation fulfils the council policy, whilst also preserving the original intent of the agricultural condition.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's only, if Mark was very kindly provided, because I think he felt that obviously it was important to get all the points across.
Well, I think it's fine, and I would second it.
And if you're happy with that, then that's what I would effectively submit to Sedgemoor District Council.
Andrew has proposed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Andrew has proposed it. John has seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 0719 0021, Andrea.
Okay, so this is number 3, the coombe, and there is a sycamore tree.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sorry. Beg your pardon. Sorry.
For our newer members, which obviously are
Thank you very much.
the planning team, there's previously been some unauthorised work being carried out on this tree, and the council had to get involved. And I think what was suggested was that they'd had somebody in to do some gardening, and they started to prune the tree and didn't realise there was a TPO on there.
And was that, forgive me Andrew, was that work not connected, as was mentioned by the applicant in the application, not connected with
No.
constant pruning for all of the cables that...
Right, that's completely different. So if you have a tree that's got a tree preservation order on it,
Yeah.
unless you've actually got permission, you can't touch it in any way. However, Highline, who are the electricity company that deals with the arboreal work,
Yeah.
they actually supersede councils because it's detrimental if those wires were to come down, or they were to be inhibited or broken, or disconnected because of the overgrown trees. So you don't have to have planning permission for the Highline and companies like that to actually make the square or trim the branches around. That's completely different. So there isn't any lines in the tree. I mean, there are electricity poles all the way up the village, but there's nothing in the tree to say that there's a problem. Now, with a tree preservation order, the planning authority have looked at specific trees in all areas, and they've actually said that they're of great interest, so they're trees that they don't want destroyed. So the order prohibits cutting down, topping, lopping, uprooting, willful damage, willful destruction, and trees without the local planning authority's written consent should not be touched in any way. I read on the application that you can see that the tree is not diseased, but and it's not in fear of falling down, and it's not going to break or to go on the road and cause any problems. They do say there is pockets of decay.
Yeah.
However,
Which they said was linked to the...
Hang on. Can we just hear Andrea, please, David?
oh right, so there's pockets of decay. Well, if you've got a horse chestnut tree, they are all diseased and they all have decay. But you have to manage that, so you sweep your leaves up, you give it its best opportunity. You still can cut it. Cutting it is not going to be the answer. They also say there is no alleged damage to the property, including subsidence or damage to the drains or drives. So again, there's no real reason other than maybe they don't like the tree or where it is. But those aren't reasons for felling a tree, I don't believe. And I think because it's got a TPO on there, I would like to suggest that we don't support this application, because it will set a precedence that if TPO trees were to be destroyed, we might not even have a leafy village anymore.
Andrea,
Yeah.
This tree has been a bone of contention for some time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And we've lived alongside, people have lived alongside it. But there are power lines that actually pass through the tree, aren't there? Yeah. Which have been cleared anyway.
Yeah.
So really, the fact that they want to get rid of the tree is for their own purposes, by the sound of it.
Can I just say
Because it's not-
something?
Hang on,
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
hang on, John. Because it's not causing a problem
No.
to anyone
No.
at the moment.
No, not to them either.
No,
Not
they just want the tree out of the way
Yeah.
because it's in the middle of a narrow
drive.
drive and a narrowing road by the hairdressers, etc. Okay, all right.
Well, it's answered my question actually, because I had not realised that they wanted to get rid of the tree.
Mm.
No, I hadn't realised that. Okay, no.
What you've said, Andrew, also fits. I noticed that the one comment that had been submitted was from a lady called Diane Hartnell,
Yes.
who pointed out that no justification
No.
had been submitted for needing to
And
remove
there's
the
no-
tree, and therefore she thought that a specialist report
An arboreal
would be
report.
required.
Yeah. And the thing is that there is a lady who works for Sedgemoor, and she is the arboreal specialist, and they could have had a visit from her, and they could have had a tree surgeon which would have actually given a report to say, you know, this tree is dangerous,
Yeah.
or you know, this
Or
tree.
diseased or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the trouble is old trees, you know, they do have disease.
Mm.
But you know they're still growing, they're still alive, and I just feel that a TPO has protected that tree, and that TPO should remain in place, and that tree should stay where it is.
Are there any other questions for Andrea? Brian? Okay.
And it's not deemed to be dangerous.
No,
Well,
and that was their words in the application.
no, well, it's not dangerous.
What's your proposal, Andrea?
I'd like to refuse. I'd like to not to support this, and refusal on it is a TPO. There is a TPO, a tree preservation on there, and the order is made by the local planning authority to protect specific trees that are of interest to the amenity. And I believe that that is a tree of interest, and it was, you know, identified, and I think that it should be kept.
Okay, so the proposal is then that the tree is subject to a TPO and it is kept for, what were your words, Andrew?
A TPO is to protect a specific tree, and that the interest of the amenity.
Yeah,
So if you want a leafy
yes.
village,
Yeah.
you will have to have trees, and those trees are protected to remain.
Okay, that's the proposal.
Yeah.
Seconder for that? David. All those in favour? Okay. Thank you. Okay, Malcolm, can you get Cynthia and Bob back, please? Thanks, Andrew. That's really good. Thank you. Okay, correspondence.
Well, a few things we just run through. First of all, I don't know if you had a chance, there's a thing here from CPRE. Really, I think they're just highlighting the fact that they're getting reduced membership now, and they're trying to sort of encourage their work a bit more. I'm not exactly sure what they're asking of us, particularly, but I think they're just pointing out the fact that there is this reducing.
Yes, it does actually mention that they are changing their, I think, approach to informing people, you know, exactly what they do, because they're not having much of a response, which I think is a good thing, because I think that's actually quite a good magazine.
Yeah, and I think, you know, they send us
They're going to
these.
get involved more with the environment, which of course people are much more concerned about these days, particularly air quality, and you know, when you build houses next to motorways and so forth and so on in the cities. And that's all, obviously,
Yes.
it happens in the countryside as well.
And it goes up to us, and we pay a subscription every year, I think £36. We're at liberty, if we feel strongly, to pay more than £36. That's the minimum they ask for, but, you know, if people
Well,
feel
there's a lot of information in it if you read it.
but certainly if you've got any thoughts on that and you feel that we need to do more in terms of financial support, then, you know, probably time to do that when we come to the precept in November.
Yes.
So that's one item. The other item is the audit completion. We've now had our audit completed by the external auditor. There was one query on there which in fact they told me I need to do nothing about, and that is the fact that the year before we added the grant support we get from Sedgemoor to the precept as part of our figures. Lots of parish councils did it, We did it, and they pointed out that should have been corrected. Well, it was actually corrected in this year's audit, because I made sure it was corrected, but they felt they had to point it out from last year to make sure it had been done. So you'll see on there, there's one small point they've made about the previous year's audit. Apart from that, it's all complete. I'm going to be putting on notice boards tomorrow, and it was on the website until last night, but as Richard Hall quite rightly pointed out, I had redacted the signature, his signature. So I've withdrawn it. I shall now redact the signature and then put it back on again, because he doesn't want his signature appearing on the website. Very reasonable. Just something I forgot to do.
Thank you very much for all your hard work on that.
It gets more complicated every year. They seem to sort of make an art out of making audits complicated.
Who are the external auditors?
It's a company called PGA from London. They've just been granted the government contract. We had Grant Thornton for quite a few years, and Will Stephens. Every 5 years it comes up for renewal, because it's up to these big auditing firms to tender for the job. We had no say in it, we had no choice in it. We had to pay whatever they agree with the government, which in our case probably around about £300, I think, to do the audit. You know, this is one of those things we have to go through every year and make sure we do it right. There's a couple of other things. First of all, I thought it was probably appropriate at this stage to point out, David, I hope you won't mind mentioning it. David obviously has been writing some emails to us over the last few weeks, and there's a number of items on there that I'm not sure whether David wishes us to add to agendas, and if so, when he would like them added, because when I sit down and do the agenda for each month, I need to know what it is that the council would like to have on the agenda. And I've just listed a few of them just so that we could just clarify what needs to go on to the September and the October agendas. So if I could just run through them, and David can just sort of tick them off as we go through. You raised, David, parish hall venue for meetings. That was one item. Now, I don't know whether you wanted that as an item for discussion.
Not for the moment,
Not
on the
for the
basis that, given that a very recent meeting decided that it would keep to the same day, and the day is what dictated the venue.
Okay.
I don't know the technicalities, but presumably the time will come when we can revisit the question.
Yeah, 6 months is normally the time scale, so if you actually discuss something and make a decision on something, then it can be revisited normally after 6 months.
I understand.
So that's, but as I say, I just mentioned it because obviously I just need to know what needs to come up. Churchyard contract funding, that's something that will come up later when we talk about tendering. So presumably that will be covered to some extent on that, although we will need to know what is included in the contract before we can go for tendering. So it's a discussion we need to have.
Sure.
So later on the agenda. Website costs and alternative tendering, that was a fairly recent one that you sent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would agree with you, but I mean, it just seems to me that the website is kind of, well, it's not unlike the experience that we all had with the photographer at the last meeting. That website is not going to get many hits because it's not a very attractive, informative, or indeed in some ways up-to-date website. So I don't know what the current payment formula is, how often the payment is made.
Well, we pay it every 12 months. We normally pay it in March, I think it is. That's when we normally get the invoice for the year's support.
And the total is?
£350 plus VAT.
I mean, cost doesn't matter here, though.
It's not so much the issue, no.
It's
what you get for the money.
It's probably looking at our site and saying, well, how many hits does it get anyway? And do we advertise the fact that we've got a website? Is it meaningful? I think probably you need to address it and bring something up and give some ideas to what.
Well, if you forgive me, that's exactly what I'm proposing to do, which is as part of the communications proposal that I want to bring forward.
So as
That
part
would
of
be
that,
part of
basically.
it.
So you see that as very much as an integrated part of you.
So,
Yes, I do.
So is that October at the moment that you're looking for?
I will circulate it this month,
Right, so, okay.
but because we'll be a depleted council meeting at the September meeting, by all means we can discuss it there, but what I was proposing is that any vote on it would be October in the hope that we would have a fuller membership able to attend.
It could be in October because we get different people not here.
Well, this is always
You
true.
could argue
Yeah.
that point, couldn't you, really, I suppose? But,
Yeah.
no, a matter for you, really.
well, we do need to go through it with a tooth comb because obviously this is all your thoughts, David. So the sooner we get it, the sooner we can go through it, analyse it, and come back to you with any comments at the September meeting. So yeah, we'd be pleased to have it.
Yeah, so that's fine. So I'll put it down to September for discussion.
Incidentally, one of the reasons that I haven't finally dotted the I's and crossed the T's was because in one of your earlier notes, or minutes I think, you made the point that having circulated the existing media and press policy, you were inviting all members to respond with their thoughts. So I thought, well, I'll just hold back to see what comes forth. Now, I don't know if anything has come forth. Okay.
No, nothing at the moment. So I've got that down for a discussion in September,
Yeah.
as a starting point in a way. Speed bumps in the village was the other one of the other items.
I would certainly like to keep that live.
So again, is that a September, probably a September agenda for an opening discussion?
Can you come back to us then in September with your thoughts, your processes that you would enter into, why we need them? We'll obviously have to consult with people. It's really a
Make that October.
outline or
October?
strategy.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll put that October then, okay. This one, I think as we've covered it actually, obviously, reasonably you questioned the need for a provisional meeting because you felt that it was quite a small item to be gathering everybody together. But you can see obviously tonight that obviously it was necessary, I suppose, for us to meet up and discuss it. But I just had it down as an item that you had raised, that's all. We try not to have provisional meetings where we can avoid them. If a planning application comes in, then really we have to have it, basically. I can usually extend them in most cases to the following month.
I understand.
In most cases, not all. Additional dog bin provision, that was something that came up as well in one of your... But we had actually already got that as an item that should be...
I think, is it on your... Yeah.
should be brought up anyway, because in fact there was a couple of people who came to our surgeries who kept raising the matter. And I did say when we had a new council in place, I'm sure Parish Council will want to look at all of these issues to do with dog bins, general rubbish bins, and that sort of thing. So that seems to be something we need to have a discussion on, I guess, at some point. So again, it can be September or October, probably September starting point, really. A bit of a potential one, but further potential for development to Brent Street, that came up in quite a number of your emails, which I wasn't quite sure whether you were asking for it to be discussed or whether you were just making...
There's nothing to discuss at this time.
Just
I am merely raising the
observations.
flag to say, let us remain very alert to this.
Okay, so it's just
Nothing to discuss.
nothing to discuss,
Okay.
no discussion.
Yeah.
And then finally, the other item was YouTube capturing, and that was linked to some extent, I think, with the photographing of the website. So it was more or less the entire exposure, if you like, of the council, and YouTube was one part of it.
Yeah, so again, what I will, I was kind of flagging an issue, if you will, or an item, or an idea, or a thought, or an observation. So what I'll do is to incorporate that within the communications proposal that I'll put on the table.
Okay. So that's all part of that one then. So we're dragging around to there then. So that's probably going to be September stroke October. Okay, so the other things I got listed, they were the main things that we raised. And I think you'll appreciate, my job is to reflect what the council's telling me. And if it needs to go on the agenda, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's that.
Sorry to butt in, Owen. Can I just the photograph for the website, I saw
Tony.
Tony this morning, and I think he feels there was something wrong with how he was taking the photograph, and obviously he didn't get time to set up properly for his photograph. So I think, are we going to ask him to come back in September, and if so, can we make available the hall for him so he can get it set up?
Is he a professional, John?
No, he's not. No, but he
Have we
is.
not got one?
Well, not unless you.
No. I'm not
He's a
aware of
very
anybody else.
active member of the Camera Club. I think he's been a president of the Camera Club or something like that. So he
Yeah.
takes himself seriously.
So it's an unfortunate.
Well, let's give
Should be
him a go.
October, though, really, because obviously Andrea and Warren
I'm
will
sorry.
probably be here in October, so
Okay.
it might be better to try and capture as many as we can. Most of the pictures that are on there have always had one missing at least.
Okay.
Try and get as many as we can, if possible.
So can we do October?
Yeah.
Will you
I'll
speak
speak to Tony.
Okay. And then can we get him in the hall beforehand so he can set himself up?
I think it was unfortunate for him last time because he came here when we were having a meeting on the Greens.
Yeah.
We also had a number of members of the public here. It was a bit of a mishmash, really, wasn't it? It wasn't really giving him a fair hit of it,
No.
really.
No.
One of the problems he had, actually, with a lot of glass all around the hall, was getting reflection all over the place. He's got a blank wall here. Is there any reason why it can't be taken here?
It would normally be done.
That's why we've done it the last couple of
Yeah,
times.
it is.
Well, I thought we
But it was
might
just we had so many people in here.
all we have to do is get rid of this table for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can even have Brent Knoll's back on the overhead if
Yeah.
we want to.
Okay.
So that's fine. Just one final, then I'll shut up.
Can I just check on, will they be doing the individual workshops that night as well?
Yeah, do you think that's a good idea? That's a good idea. I think we have their own refreshed individual photograph.
We're 8 years older.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
You've got makeup.
Right.
Yeah.
On this subject of photographs, it's been suggested to me by some parishioners that we have a photograph put in the Brent Knoll News and a little piece about each person,
Okay.
so everybody in the village knows who we are.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's
Be a bumper issue.
Work steady over a number of months. I think.
Have you seen these on Crime Watch?
Yes.
Just one final thing. Over the last 12 years that I've been clerk, actually, I haven't actually taken any official holiday.
Yeah.
I've never taken an official. I'd like to take a week off the week after next, 19th of August for a week, completely free of Brent Knoll business.
Oh, I don't know if we agree to this. This is extortionate.
Really from nagging from my wife, actually, to be honest with you. She said to me, 12 years is a long time to go without an official week's break. So if you're happy, I'll take that week.
Can we email you to make sure you're all right then?
Yeah.
There'll be a charge.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all from me. Apart from, we're on to payments now, of course, which is
Yes.
we have 4 payments actually. One which is not listed, which I'm going to ask your permission. That's John. John needs to disappear from the room for that. Parish hall room hire from October 18 to June 2019, £377.25. I have queried with Jenny the fact that it's such a long period, and could we have it slightly shorter periods, because it's much easier to manage which dates we've had and which ones we haven't had. So she agreed to do that. So in future we will get them on a 3-monthly basis. And of course, she has from me all of the proposed dates, including like tonight, for example. And if we don't use it, I have to write to her and cancel it, because I don't want to get charged for a room hire we don't use. But on this occasion, it does go from October to June, and it's for a total of £377.25, and it is correct to the day and time of what we should be charged for. So that's one. Brent Knoll refreshments, £30. That's for 2 years. The WI come and do the teas and coffees for our annual parish meeting, and they normally charge about £15 to do that. They didn't charge us in 18-19, so they charged us twice this year, once for this year and once for last year, £30. and then the pro forma invoice, which is the big one, 2496 for the SID. Because the company don't know us and don't probably trust us, they want a pro forma invoice paid before they will release the goods. So that, hence the reason why I put that on there, asking your request for that to be paid to them. It will be delivered to Richard Ibrahim once they receive the cheque. And then the last one is one that affects John. John, if you could just to do things correctly. John obviously paid out £20 for some signage for the village green, which is now in situ, and that's for £20. My error, I missed it off the agenda. I don't think we can keep John waiting any longer. He's paid out money for the council. I think we should pay him ASAP.
Could I add a rider to that? Could we ask him to get 2 more? Because I don't know if you saw my note, but at the moment it's excellent for this end of the fence.
Yes.
But there's at least 2/3 of the fence
Which
are pretty close to the ring.
Yeah. So we can ask him that under a matter report then, if you want extra signage. So are we happy with all those payments?
So those are your 4 payments: 377.25 for Parish Hall, Brent Knoll WI refreshments £30, pro forma invoice 2496, and £20 to John Harper for refund of the signs for Village Green. Can I have a proposer for that, please? That we pay? Malcolm, seconder. Cynthia, all those in favour? Thank you. It's brilliant. Okay, matters for consideration. A, village contract tendering to consider. This is for the churchyard and the village green, the whole lot. Yeah.
The reason why it's on there is basically that under our financial regulations, we are advised, and I say that, advised to get a tendering process every so many years. I don't actually state how many years, but certainly Jason has been in situ now since, as far, well, I've certainly been here 12 years, he's been in situ since then. And so it seems to me that you ought to, as a council, decide whether you want to go for a tendering process or not. I mean, clearly, you know, the purpose of this is for you to decide, first of all, you're on tendering process, not to decide whether we should, how we should do it, just whether we want one. And that's your decision. Over to you.
Does this sort of thing all get challenged during the audit with regards to tendering for contracts?
No. Well, it only gets, it can be drawn by the internal auditor, because as you probably know, an internal audit before we have an external one. And if the internal auditor feels as though we haven't complied with something, he can bring it to the point to raise with the external auditor.
Okay.
And he hasn't done that.
Well,
I think from my point of view, I think we should go out just as much as anything to show that we are getting proper value for money. I'm not questioning anything to do with the current contract or how it's operated, but just simply over a period of time, there needs to be that double check that we are actually still getting value for money. In terms of we haven't had the bill put up for a number of years, so I think we are getting good value for money, but we need to prove that, and the only way you prove it is to go out to tender.
John?
I agree with Bob there. Historically, one of the things is that we did have various contracts on the churchyard and village maintenance. They were not good, and eventually we got hold of Jason, who's been here for a very long time, and I think generally speaking everybody said it's satisfactory. But we haven't done anything about it because there's never appeared to be a suitable contractor anywhere that we could go to. And we've asked various people, and there are various odd job men, we say, could you do bits and pieces of this? However, and I did pass this on, I think I've spoken to the chairman, I've actually spoken to Owen, that a company in Wedmore, I've forgotten their name, you've got, I gave it to you, it's a man called Lewis. And there are 2 people that I know who have, who know about them, have worked with them. One is David, and the other is Amanda, who is my gardener. who sees quite a lot of work going on. They do quite a lot of work down at Batch Farm. And Lewis, I understand, is very good. They had a problem in East Brent with the churchyard because they had an awful contractor in there. They got rid of him, but they've now got Lewis in, and apparently he's very good. So all I would say is I would agree with Bob that if anybody is out there who could be recommended, and maybe we need to a little bit further investigation about Mr. Lewis, I would agree that it would be right and proper that we do occasionally have a competitive quote.
We have two people at the moment who've indicated they would like to tender for...
Those recent letters you got.
Yeah, so there are two people there. I suspect when we actually widen the thing up and put it in the Brent Knoll News, put it on the website, put it on notice boards, once we've done that, we will get others.
Yeah.
There'll be other people as well who will come forward. So we might end up with, half a dozen people tendering.
Sorry, Cynthia.
I was going to say, so will you inform Jason that that's what you're going to do?
Well, I've
Because
told
obviously,
Jason...
if he hears it
Yeah.
without us telling him...
He knows.
it
He
wouldn't
knows,
be right.
he knows.
Yeah.
I said to him some time ago that, really, I said, you probably need to expect there to be, at some point, a tendering process, Jason. I'm sure you understand that. And he said, yes, I fully understand. So he would be, it'd be wrong to say he wouldn't be disappointed if he lost the contract, because it's quite an important contract. And on the other hand, he must realise he's in a competitive business.
But nobody's complaining about his work.
No, not at all.
That's it, and I know.
Well, and he does kind of, we ask him to do things that we midstream, and he does it and carries it out.
Yes, sometimes.
What's your feeling, councillors, about the number of people we invite to tender? My view is that we shouldn't go out to loads, Tom, Dick and Harry.
It's usually three.
Yeah, we should just select three.
What's the Constitution say?
I don't know.
Basically, I'm not about the Constitution, but certainly the procedure for most councils is that they normally get a potential tenderer to come to the council and say, either by letter or whatever, saying, this is what I do, these are my references, this is what I've been historically known for. I've got the equipment, because that's the other point, it's all very well tendering, but you haven't got the equipment to do it, then you're not much good, are you? So there's a number of things that you need to put in place. And then I think from that point of view, as a council, we then need to consider whether we're happy with any of those tenders and who we'd like. I mean, it could well be we could ask them to come to the meeting and say, we'd like you to come and put your...
Yeah, I think
But you see, the point is that these guys are not normally very good at presenting themselves. They're very good at what they do in terms of grass cutting and hedge trimming, but put them in front of a situation like this and they wouldn't... So I think what you've got to do is really rely on what they're prepared to put in writing to us, really. Because they will need to see the whole job, of course, before they can tender.
But we all can get references anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Investigated.
so. Is your feeling that we should put a notice, say, in the BKN or a notice out there inviting people?
Yes.
Hang on a minute. Inviting people to come forward and offer themselves as potential tenderers, and then we will select, if you like, probably, I would suggest no more than three, Jason being one of them. And I think it just keeps it clean and tidy, and we'll invite them in. Well, we could perhaps invite them in just to meet us.
Rather than presenting. I don't think you want to ask them to present anything, because that's
But at the end of the day, they're just going to provide a quote.
That's it, that's right. Can they do it? Have they got the equipment?
But-
And how much are they going to charge?
And we can ask for references too.
And references, definitely.
We'll walk the job with them, just to make sure that they're aware of everything. Are we happy that we have an up-to-date specification of exactly what we want?
You got my contract sent out, which I just sent out a few weeks ago. I sent it out 3 weeks ago, which is the current contract, listing out all the things that we currently ask Jason to do. That's the three areas, the verges, the churchyard and the village green. They're the three sections to the actual quote. What do we have from Jason?
John?
Well, you and I have spoken today about this. We added the 2 extra flower beds at the entrances from Barrow and from East Brent. They need to be stringed around. I went down today, and in particular the bed coming in from Barrow looks a wreck because the weeds or the grass is growing up higher than the flower bed. So we got £250 worth of plants from Blue Garden, and the girls have been working very hard, and I do want it put in the contract that he does cut, and it should be included in this year's contract as well. So it's I know you've had word with Jason. I think it's going to be done on Monday. You told me.
Yeah, I think the thing is, the only thing about adding it to this year is it is difficult because, of course, Jason effectively financed it over a 12-month period. So my suggestion would be that he does the job and then invoices us separately for the work that he actually does this year. But we put it in the contract for next year.
Well, I propose that we do that, please, because we're wasting money and trying to get the village looking good, and it doesn't look good at the moment, because I actually went down today because somebody in the village came up to me and said the place looked a mess.
Okay.
So I went and had a look.
Okay, just
Yeah, sure, okay, aren't they?
just to
The 2 at the bottom end of the 2 at the
Okay.
bottom end of the village
Yes.
are not being kept. The one at the top has always been kept, but it was the 2 extra ones which have been planted up. We agreed that it should be done. The thing is, it's just not being stripped around.
Okay, thank you. We've got it covered. So are we of the resolve then now that we advertise in the BKN and that it will go in September, and Owen, you'll put
Yes,
it
that's
in,
right. It'll go to
and
BKN for September.
and then we can see what responses we get in October. So this is going to be a pretty long process by the sound of it, because of the way it's going. And then we'll commence the tendering process when we've got responses.
Can I just check the one thing? Obviously, David, I know you raised the churchyard contract as a particular concern. You know, quite reasonably you asked the question. Why are we looking after the churchyard? Well, obviously that's an integral part of the contract that we'll be actually asking people to tender for. So, you know, I need to be sure that you're happy with that arrangement. Otherwise, no point actually putting it on the tendering process.
Is this something you want brought up at the next? Do you not think? Do you think we need to readdress the fact that we do the churchyard, David? If so,
When it started, I mean, first question is how long ago did it start?
2011, I think it was the first time we did it. So 8 years, ish. Yeah.
And at that time, was anything done? I'm not quite sure how it could have been done, in fairness, but was anything done to, as it were, sound out the village on the concept of the parish council and, you know, using local taxpayers' money for that purpose?
Well, I think
Not many of us here during that time, actually.
But a lot of people who live in this village have got somebody in the church shop.
absolutely,
Families that are buried there.
absolutely.
And I was to say that the majority of people who are buried there have lived in this village. So that's your answer, isn't it, really? They don't want it. They like it tidy and
Well,
it looks nice.
It is a village
And it's
space.
respectful.
It is a village space, and actually, from a practical point of view, should we not do it? And this is not an excuse one way or another, but the church itself doesn't have the finances to do it. There's no question.
But I think also as a sort of general rule of thumb, as councillors, we are elected to make decisions on behalf of the village. That doesn't mean that you have to go back on every decision to sound out the village, because you're elected to make a decision. And if you make a decision the village don't like, they will let you know. So you can't, otherwise, if you look at the entire maintenance list we've got here, part of it is the A38 entrance. Now technically we have no responsibility for that, that's highways land. We made a decision that we felt it would make the village look better to keep it maintained rather than just the single strip of
Understand
planting.
entirely.
the bit opposite to Brent Street where the gas box was. We have no responsibility for it. We took it on because we wanted it to look good. Outside Sandy's farm, exactly the same. Opposite Westcroft side, exactly the same. Station Road.
Sure.
So none of those pieces of land are our responsibility, but we do it because it makes the village look better and keeps it
I
better.
understand this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any rules or
Hang on.
conventions?
Hang on a minute.
So
No,
where do you
no,
need to?
Hang on, Brian, no.
As is listed
Sorry.
here,
No,
grass
no.
strip Sandy's farm. So the bit that's in front of Musk Farm, we have that cut, the grass, so it doesn't come out over the pavement because it used to narrow the pavement down.
Okay.
I believe if the church became defunct, we would be legally obliged to maintain the churchyard.
I don't think we can answer that one, but it's a good point.
To be fair to say, there are certainly many parish councils that do actually run the churchyard in terms of not only maintaining it, but organising the burials and the stuff like that. So we're fortunate in the sense that the church do that, and it is something they could hand over to us if they wanted to.
Well, you've got I think you might have a battle on your hands, but do you want to take that forward, David?
It's not a case of a battle, Colin. It's a case of establishing, are we doing the right thing? And
I think
finish,
we're all
if I may, let me
right.
finish before you overrule me and override me. I listened very carefully to what Bob said.
Thank you.
Thank you. I listened very carefully to what Bob said, and clearly we don't sound to be in any way an anomaly or out on a limb or doing something that other parish councils aren't doing. When I first discovered it, it just struck me as exactly that, a bit of a strange anomaly that a parish council should be taking on this task. But I hear the arguments, and more to the point, I hear what Bob has said about the normality of the process among other councils. So no, I don't see it as a battle. I saw it as a question, the question's been answered.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
That's fine.
Okay.
So what we're going is the current level of contract, and that's what we're going to be putting in front of those who decide they wish to tender.
Plus the flower trimming.
Plus flower bed trimming, exactly. And then obviously we'll get the flower bed trimming done for the remainder of this year, which we'll get Jason to invoice us for.
What month would we be looking to award the contract? Would it be next year in May?
It needs to be this year.
Oh,
Well, it needs to be decided this year for next year. So
next year,
we will need to add it to our precept in November. So when we come to the November meeting, when we discuss the precept,
We need to know.
we should know. But we will have in October one of our audit group meetings, our sort of quarterly meetings, which Andrew, John, Colin are involved with, on which occasion we can at least look at, hopefully, the tenderings we've got, and then bring that before the council if we feel any of them are more appropriate than others.
Chairman, I could ask, in which case, following on from Andrew, if we're saying we're looking at precept setting November, December, how does that work with what we're just doing at the moment? Because I understand that we're now saying we're putting an advert in the BKN to ask people to come forward,
Yes.
but then we're not asking them to tender until we've gone through in October and chosen who we're sending the tenders out.
Well, I mean, we can delay it till December, of course, because we don't need to start precept until January. So if it goes to the end of the year, it's not the end of the
As long
world.
as we've got time.
I think we have got
You might
time.
just have to.
I think but I think it's important that we start the process in September, because if we don't do that, then because obviously someone's got to walk the village as well, and see what we're asking them to tender for, because some of them might get frightened off when they see the job. They might look at it and think, oh my goodness me, that's a hell of a
There's
job.
quite a lot to do, isn't there?
There's a lot to do, and I haven't got the equipment to do it anyway, so we might lose some along the way. But it's important that we communicate with Jason that it will be a tendering process. I'm sure he will tender for it. But as you rightly say, Bob, we've got to get it in the timescale.
I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. We might have another meeting in order to do that. To get to that stage, we might have to have an additional meeting.
Maybe we won't apply to Jason because he knows exactly where and what he's got to do. But when we come to the tendering process, we've got one or two people coming forward. I think it would be appropriate that one or two people from this council actually walk potential people who wish the contract to go around and tell them precisely what they have to do and where they have to do it.
I mean, that sort of thing we can decide nearer the date.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The decision needs to be
Once
made.
we know who they may be.
Exactly. Okay. So happy with that. So we're going to
Yeah,
go for that
well done.
10-year contract. I've got down here accident report on the monkey bars. Well, obviously you knew about that. There was an accident. Kim Wilcox's son. She has no issue with as far as the parish council's equipment or their safety is concerned. She just wanted to make sure that we had the right surface underneath the monkey bars to suit should anybody fall from them. We've got Colin Lewis from Jubilee Sports coming tomorrow morning. Bob and I had a wander over today, and it is a little on the hard side at times, it's compressed. Under the monkey bars, where we didn't have the new surface put in.
Well, we'll have the meeting tomorrow. Who will be there? Because I should be there. This room is right, that's fine. 10 o'clock.
I should be there as well.
Fine, good.
So we can discuss that then. But as far as the accident itself is concerned, there are no repercussions from that accident, which is important.
What was the actual damage to the child?
He broke his arm, actually.
An arm? Broke or bent?
Yeah,
Broke.
Because children often tend and green stick fracture, don't they?
Okay.
poor little child.
Item C there is the update from John on the current matters.
Well, the report was pushed around to everybody. In a nutshell, I've said it before, the green comes down beside the houses, turns this way behind the village hall, and then behind the next property, who in the past has culverted 18 metres of the green just behind here, and it turns right by the tennis court and left out along Brent Street. Matthew Wall has taken one look at it and said that basically it is a big linear ditch which holds water when it rains. The culvert, which goes left along, just over there, along Brent Street, is unlikely to go anywhere. But the culvert behind the property, was it Northfields here, which is 80 metres long, he has looked at it. He can't see the entrance to the culvert, nor the exit from the culvert, so that may well be a problem to stop the water flowing around in that area. But he can't do anything about it because the Drainage Board have no money. Maybe in the future, when they get some money, he would do it. And he would, if anything came from an inspection, he would put an enforcement order on if necessary. So we could decide, perhaps, that culvert back there is a problem. Maybe we as Parish Council might wish to have it investigated. Perhaps we would have to do it more or less off our own bat, or maybe we could approach the Drainage Board and say, look, we'd like to do something about it. How about if we together contribute towards it? Or we can leave it and see what happens. It's really up to everybody. But it was quite clear, Matthew Wall said there is no point in trying to dig it, because all it will make is a deeper ditch. And that's quite deep enough at the moment.
Well, we're just going to say, from reading the report, from what John's just said, I mean, the fact that it's wet on one side of the culvert and they're saying it's dry on the other side implies that obviously that's where the issue is. And I just wondered, we worked with the Drainage Board when we did the under road works that were done outside Francis James. I just wonder whether it is worth approaching them and saying, well, if we contributed something, it might move it up our agenda. And at least then we can find out if there is a problem that can be addressed, so the neighbours will have something doing to move that stagnant water if we can get it flowing again.
That would be good.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to get anything done is if we contribute ourselves.
Would you like me to approach Matthew Walks and dealing with that and just see what the reaction would be? If we should take this forward.
What's the feeling of the council? Do we progress this?
I don't think there's any harm in asking, is there?
I think I'd rather a letter.
Sorry?
I think I'd rather a letter be drafted by the chairperson and sent rather than a conversation. So there was you know,
Paper trail.
a paper trail, and we could, you know, analyse the results, because sometimes on a telephone call or a, you know, one-to-one meeting, it's difficult